To get the ears of Mr. President on advice. What are his advices to make sure people take a look at this? That is one. The second one is this. If you don't believe the way, or you don't agree with the way the Palliative is managed, what is the problem? How we for that Palliative is managed?
Oh, okay. What was the first one first? You know, there is no individual in this globe called Earth that knows it all. I asked a question when I was talking. I said, who is the chief economic advisor in the villa? Is he a voodoo economist? Is he a medieval economist? Basic theory in economics. Too much money chasing too few goods. Hyperinflation. You gave 5 billion. Who took that decision as palliative to every state? Lagos is 22 million plus people. Bayelsa is about 2 million. We got the same. Kano, very massive. Got the same with Jigawa. Is it money for the boys or money for the people? So, let people, look, we are not an isolated, these days now, the whole world is we say it's a global village. You think the moment the Russians shut down their gas supply to Europe, they've all been in hell. What we are talking about here of the pain in England too, in the UK, there is pain. Go to the market. There are so many things missing in Tesco, in Sainsbury, in everywhere. The people are shouting. Doctors are on strike. The railway people are on strike. The salary is trying to give cannot meet their daily needs. The cost of electricity has gone through the roof. But you can listen to the Chancellor of Exchequer. Last night I was watching him around 2 a.m. He was telling the people that they have taken care by taking up the bill, 50% of the bill to every household in electricity consumption. That is direct impact. They are paying for it. And he says, look, if they start asking for too much salary, right now they are saying the GDP has increased. The GDP has increased. Now the the interest rate is coming down because those who have gotten mortgages will pay more when the interest rate goes up. Your only those they want to mop up. If they increase the interest rate, they want to mop. People will go and put their money in the bank to get interest. And they are lowering the interest rate paid for industries to employ more people. What the heck are we doing here? To me, all these bank managers in Nigeria, those who have collected those dollars are cool people. They have done more damage to this nation than everybody put together. They are handling the story of MFLA quietly. The public must know. Who are those who are collecting 100 naira, 120 naira to the dollar? When the market, the industry will go 500, now it's now 1,000 something. Who are those who benefited? He knows them. All those banks who benefited from this round tripping, we know them. In fact, somebody said, in my time, you mass physics, you want to read engineering. He said we should have gone to read economics to be bank managers. I said, look at them. Look at the way they live. Look at the money they are throwing around. And where is the support? What is the name of this man? UBA man. Yeah, He'll be bouncing around as if he created something new world. With new world. They must investigate these people thoroughly. Otherwise, we are joking. Where is our reserve? The money we collected from crude oil. You know, President Zuma made a statement. He said when he looks at Saudi Arabia and he looks at Dubai, he thinks our own crude oil is coconut oil. Are we not selling the same crude oil? Where are we not? Where is Nigeria the way we are? These are serious issues. So, what should the president do? Whoever eventually comes up, and I am saying, if the judiciary pronounces anybody the president with the shambolic procedure utilized for this election, it will be a shame on this country. It will be a shame. And judiciary should never go through that route. The procedure is faulty. Go back and do the election. If it's 1 million times, go back and do the election. You see now there is peace in Kenya. The Supreme Court said go back and do the election. Otherwise, if they pronounce Mr. A or Mr. B as the winner of this shambolic election, then it becomes democracy in Nigeria will be redefined as the government of the judiciary for the judiciary by the judiciary. Is that a democracy? That must be demo judiciary, be judiciary to whatever. It's not on.
Thank you, sir.
Because I told you, I'm getting closer to being an octogenarian. Sorry.
You say you should
Look, sir.
Oh,
Sorry, sir.
what am I afraid for? Remember when I started? I said, Abaso, Aku. Baso, Aku. I want to state categorically the way my young brother Wike managed that is not the proper way. It's an advice to him because he can be very, very exceptionally good man. But when the essence of having elders is no matter how many new clothes a young man has, he will never have as many rags as an old man. I want to advise him in the 3 major languages of Nigeria. In Hausa they say Kadankada. In Igbo they say Wayo Wayo. In Yoruba they say Musuru. Tejejeo. Yes, the electoral process is not over until you get to the Supreme Court. Jumping ship early can be dangerous because if you don't have the proper distance and don't measure it and you jump out, you don't hit that other ship, you are going straight to the bottom of the sea. There's nothing wrong. When Baba came in 1999 after that election, after everything had been settled, he said he wanted nominations from the other political parties. I remember my friend who became Obulafo, Vincent. He was one of those people, I don't remember the other, he was one of those people who came to join Baba's government. There's nothing wrong. But let us finish the electoral process. And the party, yes, has the authority to decide we will join up with your government, because it will make a lot of sense to have a national government once the electoral process is over. But you talk to the political parties for purposes of respectability and for purposes of super management. The party we say is supreme. It is not the private enterprise of any individual. And maybe out of anger because of things that had happened in the past, kadan kada. Some of us have more grounds to grind with the system. But it is the servant leader who must continuously be humble and approach issues with calmness. We are still coming to resolve the crisis in our party. That led us to the canvas. Some people suddenly decided that they own the party, hijacked the party, and they did all they wanted. They refused to listen. The founding fathers did the best for this country, created the 6 geopolitical zones, which is not in our constitution, you know. They created the 6, so that they now said there are 6 top positions in the land, that every zone will go home with one of these 6 positions. You know what they are trying to do? Nobody will be left behind. That's the essence of being in an association. If now you alone, every time now you alone, we others will be happy. But we misinterpreted that intentionally and saw what it did to our party. We can disagree without being disagreeable. Let's move this nation forward. I'm talking, how much would I run now? How much can I? But as long as I'm breathing and I'm still alive, I will share my thoughts so that let the pages of history know that that's how I was able to pick what I discussed with you on the pages of Baba Awolowo's book. If he didn't write it, I would just have been thinking, how am I going to do it? There's nothing new under the sun. So, writing to the party didn't, they know. The process will be done through the working committee, then brought to NEC. What do you want to do with this? The NEC will take a decision. Yes, we can cooperate with this, we are not cooperating. But at this particular, you remember that they came here too, asking me that I have to go and congratulate Bola. I said, Sam, I can't. Not now. We are still in court. And we still believe that we will win. You know, so why should I go and congratulate me? How would I get home? And I made a slight joke. My wife told me that once you go there, don't come back home. Because you'll be a disgrace to us. And the member represents Southwest in the National Caucus of the party, a life member of the BOT. I will begin to just misbehave. This is our party. We can disagree. And we are going to close the doors and talk some serious matters within the party. For it, we don't want it to go the way of AMPP. So, whether I wrote this, I've listened, I've read that. To me, mistakes again. The party is quiet. It's clever. Because it doesn't want to dismember the party. It doesn't want the fragmentation to be expanded. That's why he's keeping, because there will be a day to raise this matter within. You know, I got permission from the chairman. It's not his private enterprise. Whether you didn't wait to get the reply, you were there every day. So the new acting chairman, well, ambassador, maybe he has more this thing here. They say, this is not the time to start chopping block. Oh, kada kada, why oh, tejeje oh.
Governors and the current government of President Bola Tinubu, as an elder statesman, how would you assess it? What's your opinion on it? How far do you think it has gone in fixing Nigeria?
Let me start by saying that this journey is not a 100-meter dash race. 4 years. There are 24 hours in a day, 365 days in a year, then 4. So multiply 24 hours by 365 days by 4. You know the number of hours is going to stay there. Human being, yes, you make the mistakes because they were not ready, they had never been there. That's why you don't jump from 0 to the highest. You should learn. Why do you call civil servants? Why do you have civil servants? Experienced civil servants. They can be good, they can be bad, and they can be ugly, depending on you, the leader. Because once you arrive, they look at you. If you are the lazy one, they go from page this and refer you to page that and all that. But if they know that this man has wisdom, is knowledgeable, is calm, he wants to learn, they be quiet. Noise making in governance doesn't work. It reminds me of the military. You know, we in the military, when you get somewhere, you show your bravado to your men. You say, your guy will not take any nonsense. If you mess up, you fall out of line, you know your rank, I'll lock you up in the cell. You don't lock people up in civilian something and start you should be a servant leader, like it is taught in the Holy Bible and the Holy Quran. You should be a servant leader. You know, be ready to support, be ready to listen, be ready to discuss with people, not talk down on them. Even Jesus Christ, you remember the final time when he was going to give blessing to his disciples. He got up from his chair, removed his toga, and was washing their feet and hands. And Peter said, no, you cannot wash my hand. Because he said, if I don't wash your hand, then you are not my disciple. And before the cross 3 times, you would have denied. Didn't it come to pass? A leader must show humility. A leader must show respectability to the people. You demand respect. You yourself must give them the same respect. It's not a one-way track. A leader who defines loyalty as a one-way street is a bad leader. Once you demand from your people to be loyal to you, you yourself must give loyalty to them. So for me, looking at these people, they're just starting up. Like I just told you one policy, the economic policies, it's a joke. It's like a medieval, what do they call it now? Economists. You giving money to people to assuage. Too much money chasing too few goods. That's the first definition you hear in any economic class. Hyperinflation. Where is the market? Okay, that 5 billion now. What has happened? teach me how to fish, and you will be helping me forever. But giving me fish, it means I keep coming to you. You haven't given me any trade to be on my own. So distributing money, and this money is also borrowed. What is the total money in our coffers as our savings? Because that money will define your relationship with the dollar or foreign currency. What happened to the what they have a name for it? The reserve. Where is our foreign reserve? What did they do? Everybody is keeping quiet, no talking. It is our right, they must talk. Bring this boy to court or bring him to come and sing. What did he do with the money? Dollar now is about over 1,000 naira. Unbelievable. People who are in manufacturing, the raw materials here, the machine parts, we are suffering for it. Except you have been a beneficiary of MFLA, where it looks at you, say, okay, $1 to 100 naira for you. Why? Let him come and tell us. Nigerians, we want to know. That is governance. So the others who will come in future will not do the same thing. Anybody who is involved must be brought to book. And finally, we do not define, let this be not the Nigerian definition of democracy. Government of the judiciary, by the judiciary, for the judiciary. No! It must be government of the people, for the people, by the people. No matter the mess INEC has created, send them back to go and do the election. Again, if it's 100 times they are messing up, they will do it 100 times. Don't select anybody, any individual, to say you are the president, you are the governor, you are the House of Reps. That is the government of judiciary, for the judiciary, by the judiciary. You haven't involved Nigerians. That's all I'm saying. Remember? They will retain, in some countries, they retain the judiciary, but the executive is there. They retain the judiciary, the executive. They want the fire. It's the legislative arm. What is the legislative arm? Elected representatives of every constituency, the voice of the people. If it is absent, then what are you doing? What are you governing? On a short run, the people may shout, yes, we have a new fellow and all that. I am talking as the man who had gone through the mill. I'm trying to exchange my knowledge and the shortcoming of military governance. So once it's not there, how do you know the feelings of the people? How do you know their needs? You have maximum commissioners. Commissioners don't represent constituencies. Remember? How many can you have? Then, the next thing you do is, when I had never been in, the nearest I have been in those states was passing through Ore, going to our base in Warri and Calabar. I had never been to Akure in my life. I've had on those states. But when I got there, thank God some friend of mine gave me the book of Baba Olowo to read on the act of governance. Otherwise, what are we running? Is this a secret society? And I've told you the model of South Africa. Look, it's not that South Africa doesn't have a problem. But what they have as problem. People are expanding. People are developing. You know, education, employment, you know, allowing and inviting, you know, manufacturers to come and establish things to create jobs for their people. What is happening to our own? Which sane a foreigner will carry his money now and say he's coming to into Nigeria? How? To do what? When we here too are struggling and sweating like Christmas goat. I beg you. Well, these have been my thoughts. And I said, words of wisdom which I want to leave. I wrote that one down. On the marble, I stumbled on the words. He said, we squander health to search, we squander health in search of wealth. We scheme and toil and save. Then squander wealth in search of health. And all we get is a grave. We live and boast of all we own. Eventually, we die, and all we get is a tomb. When I stumbled into this, I said, he reminded me of the richest man in Kuwait. He had a gold-plated bed, gold-plated aircraft, gold-plated cars, gold bars in his house, gold coins, and then he died. They now took us, they showed all those, the aircraft gold-plated, the cars gold-plated, the bed gold-plated, the gold bars in his house and gold coins. Then they took us to where it was buried, one small place like this. And again, the lesson of Alexander the Great, who conquered the then old world and was now finally heading home. And he caught a disease. The doctors and everybody. So you listen to them, they listen to you. That was the nearest we can connect with constituencies. But it worked. That was how I realized that, apart from that area of lack of oneness and concern, this area does not allow a good governance under military administration. The other part was, you see, as soldiers, as men of the armed forces, no matter who your neighbor, your brother in your trench at war is your comrade. You don't care whether he's Igbo, he's Hausa, he's Beriberi, he's Yoruba. The fact that he's next door to you there in that trench is your brother. Because if something happens and he's shot, the adrenaline in you will rise beyond comprehension. And you'll be able to fight to defend yourself. So that was the training in the military. Do you have that in the civil authority? And what it did was, rather than allow us to get closer like we were trained to be, the moment the military got involved in politics, jealousy, pettiness, innuendos became the order of the day. And it almost destroyed the military. So it's not in the interest of any nation to head into a military governance. Now, having said that, who prepared the constitution we are using today? The military. That constitution is not working. It's not working. We thank God during President Jonathan's time that he established a constitutional review conference to review the constitution handed over by General Abdul Salam. Look, I have been from the west to the north, from the east to the northwest, northeast, north central, not everywhere in this country. I have been everywhere. And I cannot foresee a situation where, people are happy. Go around Nigeria today, they are not happy. And if you are in government and the people are not happy, then your responsibility as being elected calls to question. Because the main purpose of your going out to say, I will go and represent you, is telling and convincing the people that I will manage the resources of the land for your benefit. Not the other way around. But then there is another dimension which I have looked at, and that comes to the electoral process. It is shambolic, it's completely nonsensical, and it has made this country to be nose diving to the bottom of the sea. The day, they pay money for it. They go there, they do all kinds of things. They manipulate the system, manipulate the results. And so those who emerge, Mr. Senator, Mr. Governor, Mr. President, if he knows that the people did not vote for him, you think he will bother when he's still there? You'll be thinking, oh, okay, next time I will spend more money here and there to cover up. The day President Buhari, his name, I said it, that his name would have been on the golden pages of this history, because he introduced the most modern procedure for the INEC, that interlopers, manipulators will no longer be engaged. What did we find? Glitch on that day, D-Day and the H hour. I was in the military. I'm trained as a weapons systems engineer on board the ship. Look, if you go out for war and a missile is fired to your ship, your early warning radars will pick up that system, that missile flying to you. Quickly, your computers on board will calculate the speed at which it will hit you, the weather at which it's coming, at the height, and all the parameters will be computed, and that information, in microseconds, will be passed on to the appropriate weapon to counter it. And all the captain needs to do, once all this information gets displayed to him, is press fire. Otherwise, if there is a glitch in that your goddamn computer, you know what that means? You're all dead. That's what Professor Yakubu is telling us. Glitch on the H hour, on the D-Day, is unforgivable. I was dancing here when President Buhari said, we have bought it, we have paid this, and true to it. We ran an election in Anambra. We ran an election in Ekiti. We ran an election somewhere again. Oshun. They were flawless. And you told every Nigerian, you made a broadcast that you have done a test run. This thing is ready. Only to be told on the D-Day and the H hour that there was a glitch. It is unforgivable. Generations to come, no matter who writes that part of history, will never forgive him and his people. Now, that now leads us to the most contentious matter in Nigeria today. You know, I've been thinking, the judiciary, yes, is one of the pillars of government. You know, three arms of government, and they are both, all the three are independent. Is it right for the judiciary to appoint, to tell us, and when they get involved with all these things, to tell us, you are the one that won, you are the one that lost? Would that be a democratic dispensation? So, what we've been running, and I've looked over the years, since Shagari's time, it is government of the judiciary, for the judiciary, by the judiciary. Is that democratic? The definition of democracy is government of the people, by the people, for the people. It is the people who should decide who should rule them. I'm happy they said they are coming. We want to listen. They should now go and say, oh yeah, you won and you lost. How? Is that their job? In other words, they selected whoever they wanted, not the will of the people. If you find out that there is a glitch or a mismanagement, a bad procedure, send them to go and do the election again. That's the most sensible thing. I'm not a lawyer. I don't care what all this grammar, they are all talking. These countries, this nation, the younger generation will come after them. Let them tell them, Mr. INEC, you have misbehaved, you didn't do it well, there are this, that, all these your goddamn glitches, go back and fix it again. Let the will of the people prevail. Let the people decide who the president, who the governor, who the representative will be. Not the judge. They have started giving judgments in Lagos. I've received so many complaints here. They just come there, the panel will come, the chairman will read the incomprehensible, what do you call it, a judgment, and the boys will be running. If the judiciary knows what we go through, campaigning, managing the party, a lot of expenditure, a lot of human physical movements, so much, and then three of you will decide whether it's A or B. And then when you go to the Supreme Court, 7 justices, then why are you bothering us? Why don't you just set up a judicial party and let them select anybody they want and put there? Where is the will of the people? This is what we have been perpetually doing. The job of the judiciary is to decide if it is nonsensical coming out from the INEC, they should tell them, go on. If it's going to be 1 million times to revisit the election, so be it. That is when you have an independent, a serious judiciary, not the government of the judiciary. Because what we have now, we will see, we will hear on Thursday, What I expect them to do is that, look, the man from INEC said that by 3 o'clock, they have just gotten 30% of the result. They were given instruction to go and announce the results. So whom do they want to say won or lost? Adjudication centers on fairness, on justice. The lady of justice in the front of any court, anywhere in the world, blindfolded lady with a sword and a scale. Doesn't care who you are, doesn't bother whether you are red, yellow, green, whatever. He will give judgment based on the ethics. And in this particular case, it's not a matter of criminal case or a libelous something or land matters. This is something that affects the people of your nation. it is incumbent on them, if they find out, because all we've been reading, was the senseless manipulation, the thuggery that got involved, go back and do the election. It's not only here. Look at Kenya recently. There is no peace there. They had a presidential election, they headed back to the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court told them, you go back and do the election. All eyes all over the world are on Nigeria. Let us not form a government of the judiciary, for the judiciary, by the judiciary. That is not democratic. I say it with everything inside me. What is democratic? The voice of the people. And Abraham Lincoln, who defined democracy, the government of the people, for the people, and by the people. It is the voice of the people that they should put into consideration. We did it before, 12 2/3. Have you forgotten? 12 2/3 out of 19, 12 2/3. How do you know? We listen. Where did that lead us? I don't know what they will come up with, but I am saying to the younger generation that the exact responsibility of the judiciary is to be fair, to be just, and to have at the back of their mind, they must not select any individual or group to say, okay, you won or you lost. If their process is not healthy, send it back to these people to go and fix it again. We are now about 60 years old. Yeah, this country is no longer a kid. Look at all the little countries fighting. The Francophone countries throwing tantrums and the coup. That, what they are doing, is historical to us. We liberated ourselves from the shackles of colonialism. What they are doing in their various countries is removing the shackles of the colonialism from the people there. It's not our business. Let us be that giant of Africa. Now, you know that the third thing now leads me to South Africa. You see what is happening now? The BRICS. Why South Africa? We spent our money. We spent our time. We did so much to liberate and make South Africa what they are today. Have you forgotten the involvement of Nigeria? In Angola? In Liberia? In Freetown? In Somalia? What? In Zimbabwe? What have we gained out of it? Where the hell are we as a country? And we have the people, any part of this country, we have qualified, knowledgeable, brilliant human resource that we can tap. Look, go everywhere in the world. Lawyers, super economists, helping other nations. And the Bokula is concerned here. Why? Now, that takes me to this. You know, in South Africa, the system is not like ours. In South Africa, it is the party. When, here you say party, people join party, you do primaries, people will emerge as candidates. No, not in South Africa. It is the party who contests the election. Presidential, parliamentary, whatever. It is the party. ANC versus this, versus that. And once the results now are counted, if the ANC has won, on the presidential. Then the party with their leaders will sit down. Who are we going to nominate as president? So you, as an individual, you don't do the running around on yourself. They are telling you it is the party. That is the background that wins the election. So if you now are nominated by your party to be, okay, you should be president, you should be vice president, you should go as speaker, you should be house member, it is the party that does that. So they reduce all this individualism, this battle. How many times have you heard that after any election in South Africa, they are headed to court, they headed to court, like we are doing here, from assembly to, what do you call this one? So to House, then Senate, then Governor, then President. Have you heard? Is there any election since 1960 we've been doing here that we don't? I think 1959 election was the only time that we went out without heading out and ending in court. So what is really wrong with us? Now, Wednesday now, they will tell you, A won, B lost, this, that, and at the end of the day, where is the will of the people? And that should be paramount in our minds. What is governance? The management of the resources of the land for the benefit of the people. But we're not doing that. And it's been so concerning to me that I said today, I'll bear my mind, we interact, and then I have some words of wisdom which I will tell you to be on the. That's why I refused to put pen to paper. It's a kind of a discussion. Let's rub minds. You are the cream de la cream of all the newspaper people and the press in this country. And let us be honest with ourselves. It's not a matter of manipulating what I have said or writing. What I've told you, tell the people. It's a time for discussion. Where is that report that Jonathan had and handed over to President Shagari? President Buhari. And he put it away in the archives and keep them away. We have seen it now. We've seen the result. Look at the economic situation in this country. People are now trading with the hard-earned currency of our money, of the earning of the government. I mean, nobody has told us. What is the GDP of Nigeria today? Who knows it? What is the indices, the economic indices? Number one, the what do you call it? Inflation is 20-something%. Interest rate 30-something%. How? And then you are doling now billions to the state for palliative. You're giving cash, chasing too few goods. You know what you are causing? Hyperinflation. That is medieval economics. And I said to people, who is this voodoo economist who is the advisor in the villa? Give them the money. What do we want to do with money? How much can that money buy goods in the market? Abi? So what kind? Oh, give them. And now, Lagos is about 22 million people. Bayelsa about plus or minus 2 million. Over the last few days, I had been thinking in my mind. As a man who had been in the military, during that period we also had military government, and having been on the other side, the civilian side, Despite my own businesses, I've also been in the government of the civilian administration. I have served 5 presidents in this country, 5. So about midweek last week, I started thinking. From the time I was not too young, I was in the early 50s, the 60s, all the political era, the first incursion of the military into government, and so many things. And I kept wondering. That's why I wanted it to be an interactive session, because you are men on the field. And this discussion is not meant to cajole or to dismember or to demolish anybody. I want to discuss my own perception, my own thinking, my own views of our country, Nigeria. And I will be glad. I'm not going to cover anything. I'm going to make it open. But when one is getting up to closer to 80, what are you afraid of? In my parlance, in the local parlance, onitaba so aku, ba so aku, ashikuku so. Let's bear it. And it's been really going through my mind, and I thought, okay, today, it was late last Friday, very late on Friday night, that I told Gabriel that, look, I want to have this interaction, and thank God I'm just being told that the judgment, the judgment will come out on Wednesday, and it is so appropriate what I want to say. So once again, I want to welcome you gentlemen, and I hope it will be quite useful. My own thought processes now are not meant for some for this generation, but the larger one for the up and coming, those young men and women that we are mentoring. We are really derailing. If you read, if you hear, if you see the state, and the children of the poor, the children of the rich, they are all involved. It's our nation. And if we don't get it right, they will never forgive us. So let me start by saying I welcome you, and I will start on the premise for which this country was established. The British came. They thought the best way they can handle us in 1914 was to merge everybody together for their own economic gain, not for us. Okay, since we have merged, many Nigerians, including my great-granduncle, he was the first Nigerian to start discussing politics. He established the first political party in this country. And Papa was running up because he was privileged to have been educated abroad. So he sees people like Lord Lugard and all these people and say, who are these characters? We went to better universities, we are better trained, we can handle ourselves. Who is this Major Lugard coming to be cracking down on them here? And there are a few others. Mainly the first lawyer, the first accountant, the first this, the first, all kinds of the first. But it came to nothing. Now, we tumble and rumble, all kinds of constitutional deeds. Eventually, they ended up with some in 1950 something, and that's the one we started on. That's the one that created Western region, Northern region, Eastern region. And we could have concluded that that separation would have been ideal. But look at the Northern region. It's the same whole north, from Kebbi, Sokoto, Katsina, Zamfara, Katsina, Jigawa, Kano, Yobe, all the way to Borno, down to the Middle Belt. That was the northern region, with the premier in Kaduna. Of course, you have the eastern region, and then there was nothing like South-South. You had the western region. After some time, there was an agitation to create Midwest out of western region. If you had the mind to create Midwest, why didn't you create another one in the north? But we all went through all this shenanigans, and we tried, and we saw the positivity of the first democratic dispensation. We had a prime minister who was not as strong as the present president. The premier was the closest man to the people in each region. And of course, they had representatives there and all that. Still, the crisis in the Southwest showed the lack of strength from the national region. They played politics into it. They could have left them down, okay, you people, whatever you want to solve, go and solve it. Eventually, they sided one side to the other, to the detriment of the other side. Now, I'm bringing this historical information so that when we land in where we have found ourselves now, you'll be able to understand my grounds. That crisis in the Southwest exacerbated and was expanding. Eventually, the strong man there was arrested for treason. He was jailed for treason. They cited the other man. The people revolted. They forgot the wet hair and all those. And this actually was the beginning of the lackluster